This is a global initiative, and a lot of people will be joining us in next few minutes now. You know, today's topic is SDG 18. What is SDG 18? Space for all, Earth and beyond, right? So we'll be today our experts, global international experts, will be specifically focusing on space governance and challenges in space, opportunities in space. You'll get an opportunity to hear from amazing people from different part of the world, from Uzbekistan, from Canada, from Japan, and from America, from China, so many countries. So the challenge before us is to understand the space. We currently live on Earth. Whatever information we had from Hubble, we were using that. But as the James Webb have gone into the space, it has opened a new Pandora, new, I must say, of information and challenges and all these things. And things like climate change, all these things are bringing a very amazing information to all of us. And now SDG 18, a global initiative. I am from Ammar Jaffri. I am CEO and Director of SDGs Academy, and Mr. Jinnah is right now with me. Uh, SDG Academy is working for the last 18 years, and so for the last 8 years, I sorry. And in these 8 years, we have established number of initiatives at a local and global level. So SDG Academy is a part of the international initiatives also, and so many people know also that SDG Academy is the organization which is joining hand with the global community for putting the SDG 18 resolution in September this year. So with this all initial background, I would request Ms. Victoria Salmon to give her keynote talk on the topic. Ms. Victoria Salmon, over to you. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you all for having me here. Good evening. My name is Victoria Sampson. I'm the Chief Director of Space Security and Stability for the Secure World Foundation. The Secure World Foundation is a nonprofit that focuses on the long-term sustainable use of outer space. We promote best practices and norms of behavior to make sure that space is accessible to and usable for all over the long term. So I was asked to give a keynote tonight about space security and global excuse me, and global sustainability issues. So I'll be talking a little bit about the challenges of both and some of the biggest hazards and threats to overall strategic stability and security from space issues. First of all, talking about some space sustainability challenges, at the risk of oversimplifying things, there's a lot more things going on in space. You have a growing number and diversity in terms of space actors, both in terms of more and more governments, but also more and more private sector actors, whether they're from academia, civil society, or from the commercial sector. We're also seeing a growing number and diversity of space activities, which is a good thing. But it does mean that the governance setup for space is being stretched. It's changing. The domain is changing, and with that, the governance needs to evolve and change along with it. And the issue, the reason why it's concerned for everyone is that negative externalities can have wide impacts for everyone. One actor's failure to be a responsible actor in regards to the use of space or their activities in space could have effects on everyone. And there's very few hard and fast rules about what is and is not allowed. And so the question mark here is how can we ensure that space is usable and sustainable for all generations and users? And one thing just I would like to emphasize is oftentimes I think when people are relatively new to space security issues, they think about it from a perspective, well, my country doesn't have weapons, or we don't have a very big space program, or we don't intend to do these sort of things. So why is space security a concern for us? And the fact of the matter is every single person on this planet is a user of space data and services in some way, shape, or form. So any interruption to or effect that gets you access to or use of that will impact you as well. A lot of the existing space governance framework is based on norms. So that's really what we're looking at right now. You do have, for example, the freedom of overflight for satellite reconnaissance was started. You had Sputnik was launched in 1957, and by the Soviet Union. Other countries could have complained and said, no, we're not going to allow them to do that, but they wanted to say, okay, it's all right, we'll let them do that. And so that was codified into hard law in the Outer Space Treaty in 1967, so 10 years later. Right now, there are 4 major treaties that deal with space: the Outer Space Treaty, the Registration Convention, Liability Convention, and Rescue Agreement. And right now, it looks like norms are going to be probably the best mechanism to deal with future challenges, both in terms of identifying responsible behavior and calling out what irresponsible actors are. Now, in terms of hazards, like not deliberate threats, but something that just up there that could be an issue, human-generated space objects are a big hazard to the overall strategic stability of the space domain. Right now, in terms of the number of active satellites, as of this morning, there are over 15,884 active satellites total. Of this, the United States has almost 12,000 active satellites, so there's really one dominant actor. Russia has 373 active satellites. China has almost 1,400 active satellites. India has 75 active satellites, and Pakistan has 9. So you can see there's a real emphasis there in terms of what country has what. And then when we're talking about, I talked earlier about the change in terms of the number of activities and actors in space. The biggest, most dominant actor in space is not even the United States. It's a company. It's SpaceX. It's a U.S. company, but SpaceX. They have, in terms of Starlink satellites, they have 10,354 satellites. So it's not a bad thing, but you're seeing the domain is changing. Where you have it used to be a domain that was primarily dominated by nation states, and while nation states are still a big actor there, you have a commercial actor, a private sector actor involved. This is not a bad thing, but the governance mechanism for space was established to talk about issues and concerns at the multilateral level of the United Nations. And so obviously SpaceX doesn't have a seat there. In terms of other issues and human-generated space objects that are continuing, affecting the stability of space, we're seeing the rise of very large constellations being fielded. I mentioned earlier Starlink's, very large low Earth orbit constellation. China has, right now, I said Starlink has almost 10,354. They officially have wanted to do 15,000. They've asked for a spectrum for 30,000 more, so there could be 45,000 satellites. China is launching 2 of its own satellite-based internet constellations that could each be about 13,000, 15,000 satellites. It notified the National Telecommunications Union of a constellation of 200,000 satellites at the end of December. They haven't started launching yet. Unclear what that's going to be for. But also, the big shift as well, just in the past couple of months, proposed orbital data centers. There was one by Space Cowboy over the last week that said they want to do 22,000 satellites in low Earth orbit. Blue Origin has suggested they want to do one to 51,000 satellites in low Earth orbit. A company named StarCloud wants to do one to 88,000 satellites in low Earth orbit. And SpaceX has asked to do 1 million satellites in low Earth orbit. So again, you can imagine this is going to be an incredibly complicated challenge if this actually comes to fruition for space traffic coordination, spectrum allocation, things of that nature. And then finally, we have, in terms of human-generated space objects, orbital debris. Right now, objects that we can track, really anything larger than 10 centimeters in diameter, there's roughly 48,000 of them plus. And if those hit your satellite or hit each other, then there will be definitely sources of new debris. In terms of species of orbital debris that are smaller than 1 centimeter, and these again ones that we think are there, we can't really track. There's about 140 million, again, estimated of those. And those can cause minor damage if they hit a satellite. The concern you have is the part in between, pieces of orbital debris that are between 1 centimeter and 10 centimeters in diameter. Because if you go down to the lower part of that spectrum, we cannot really see those. We cannot really track them. And it's estimated maybe over 1 million. And so if something that big hits your satellite, it could cause major damage. And so you can imagine, again, there could be a situation where there's hostilities on Earth or tension on Earth. One country's satellite gets hit by another country says, oh, that's a piece of debris, it wasn't us, but they weren't able to see it. And you can see how that could escalate things pretty quickly. Also, we're seeing close approaches, uncoordinated close approaches can have effect on overall space security and stability. They have the potential for inadvertent escalation. Right now, again, there's no rules preventing anyone from doing this. US, Russia, and China in particular all do these uncoordinated close approaches with other countries' satellites in their own, in both low Earth orbit and geostationary orbit. The reason why it can be considered escalatory is you don't know necessarily you can't just look at a satellite and say, oh, we know what they're planning on doing. It's not so much the technologies that is going to be the main shaper of your threat perception. It's going to be the capabilities and their actions and behaviors on orbit. So a satellite can come up close to yours just to look at it. They can try and listen to what you're listening to. They can try and listen to what you're broadcasting. They can try to jam where you're broadcasting. They could try and shine a laser to harm your optical sensors. They could release objects at a low velocity. They could release objects at a high velocity. They could get an arm out to try and physically move your satellite. They could, do all sorts of things. You don't know until they do it. And so that's why there's concern, again, if you have a situation where there's limited awareness in terms of what actions are in orbit, and you don't have a very good way of tracking objects, you don't have strong situational awareness, and you have these uncoordinated close approaches, there's definitely the opportunity for, again, what could be instigating incident in space. And so it's not easy to make hard and fast requirements about. It's not like on Earth where you say, okay, we'll just say, stay more than 10 kilometers from my object. That's, things move differently in space. And so sometimes it's not even how close it is, it's how much energy is required to get in the same orbital plane as what you need to be able to get close to others. And that can be very minimal. And also different actors have different risk assessments in terms of what they consider threatening. And finally, there's just very hard feels about what is and is not allowed. There's no really rules of the road. Who is the right of way? How do you quickly communicate among satellites? Things like that. How do you demonstrate good intent? And so that's going to be a real issue in the future. One of the other issues I like to talk about in the amount of time I have left in my keynote is really focusing on space security and strategic stability, looking particularly at counter space capabilities. My organization every year, the Secure World Foundation, we put out an annual report called Global Counter Space Capabilities and Open Source Assessments. We look at counter space capabilities for, now 13 countries across 5 different categories. And the reason why we do this is that space gets classified very quickly, but there's a lot of speculation in terms of what countries are doing and what it can mean. And so what we want to do is put down in one place, okay, what do we actually know about these counter space capabilities, and how do they compare against other countries' counter space capabilities? How do they compare against what the country has been saying they want to be able to do, and have they backed it up with budget and policies and things like that? And just to point out again, the counter space capabilities are not new. We had Sputnik launched in 1957. The very first anti-satellite test was held in 1959 by the United States. So they've been part of the space age as long as human beings have been in space. But the circumstances surrounding them have changed. In that, because more and more countries are depending upon space for national security missions, for economic missions, for monitoring space for disaster management, just part of how their overall societies function, there's more and more of an incentive for adversaries to somehow deny, degrade, disrupt, destroy access to or use their space. And there's more investment in research development, these sort of capabilities. So kind of big picture, if you take one thing away from this counter space report, is that while there's a significant amount of research and development and testing of both destructive and non-destructive counter space capabilities by many countries, what we're seeing in current military operations are only non-destructive capabilities. Secure World Foundation's organization looks at counter space capabilities across 5 different categories. The first one is co-orbital, the idea that systems are placed up into orbit, and then they maneuver to approach their target, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do at that point. As I said before, they can be destructive, they can be non-destructive. Next, you have direct ascent, and that's, I think, what a lot of people think of when they typically think of anti-satellite weapons. And these are systems that use ground, sea, or air-based missiles with interceptors on them. They're used to physically destroy satellites through force of impact. Then you have directed energy, the idea that you have systems using focused energy, such as lasers, microwave beams, nuclear electromagnetic pulses to interfere with the destroyed space systems. You have electronic warfare, jamming or spoofing, and that's it. And then cyber, finally, the idea of using software and network techniques to compromise, control, or interfere or destroy systems. As well, we look at space situational awareness capabilities, the idea of having knowledge about the space environment and human activities in space. Obviously, there can be non-offensive reasons why countries would want to develop these capabilities. But if you're going to be targeting other countries' satellites, you will want these own capabilities. So that's one of the markers we look at. And then finally, when we have this information, we talk about what we know about countries' military space organizations. Do they have policies and budgets and things in place to use these capabilities? So we have 13 countries that we cover as part of this report. We divide the report into 2 sections. The first section are countries that conducted destructive anti-satellite tests in space. And we list the countries in terms of the chronological order in which they conducted those tests. So the first section is the United States. As I said before, 1959 was the first ASAT test. Then the Russia/Soviet Union, 1963. India 2019, I'm sorry, China 2007, and then India 2019. And then the rest of the countries, we do just alphabetical order. Australia, France, we added Germany this year, Iran, Israel, Japan, North Korea, South Korea, United Kingdom. So we look at this data. Pretty much everyone has some sort of SSA capability, a lot more electronic warfare. But when you're looking at the more destructive capabilities, it tends to be more the US, Russia, China, India, France is changing a little bit of that as well. And one of the things we track as well, the reason why we do that is that debris that's created in space right now, there's no really good way to get rid of it. There are companies and countries that are looking to develop active debris removal capabilities, but no one, even the most ardent, enthusiastic supporter of these capabilities, no one is saying someone can create, a test. Someone can hold a test that can create thousands of pieces of debris. We'll be able to clean them all up. Best case scenario, so people looking, okay, we can move one large piece of debris, and that might be able to get some stuff out of the way. We might be able to get some small pieces. And the reason why I bring this up is that anti-satellite tests in space have been some of the largest creators of debris in orbit. We have a table in our counter space report, table 5.1, where we talk about orbital debris that's created by anti-satellite tests in space. And so I really like this table because it lists all 20 tests that have been held that have been debris creating in space. And we track, say, okay, everything we know, if we know anything at the, what the orbit was held, things, the tests, things like that. And the main things are how much trackable debris was created. And again, it's important to say trackable because there probably is a lot more untrackable pieces of debris that we just can't see. How much of that debris is still in orbit and how many years later? So, for example, there's some tests in the Soviet Union in the late 1960s that created debris that's around 50 plus years later. It's going to be around for decades. One of the biggest created debris in orbit was when China held its test in 2007. That was at a pretty high altitude, 880 kilometers. It created over 3,500 pieces of trackable debris, of which 2,300 are still around. They'll probably be around for decades, if not the better part of a century. And the most recent test that created this sort of debris was Russia's in November 2029. And that created over 1,800 pieces of trackable debris. That was at a lower altitude at 470 kilometers. My degree in political science, the way I understand it, higher up things are, the longer it takes to come down. So the lower these tests are held, the more quickly the debris is created, re-enters Earth's atmosphere and burns up. Anyways, of the 800 pieces of trackable debris from the Russian test in November 2021, there's only 5 left. But big picture, you have all those tests. There have been 6,900 pieces of trackable debris, and of that, 2,700 are still around. So you can see these activities and these actions we do in space, the decisions that we make in space can have effects for people for decades after the fact. So that's one of the things that we really focus on when we talk about the concern about creating debris in orbit. So with that, I think I'm just at about time. I'd like to thank again the organizers for inviting me to be here to speak with you all tonight, and I look forward to hearing the panel discussion and from the audience as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Wonderful talk. So before I invite Amna Malik Sahaba for her talk on the topic, I just have one quick question from you. Space governance is becoming a very emerging challenge now. Because in space governor, we have to look into the regulatory framework, and there are a lot of struggle going on. It's rapid commercialization, it's congestion in the orbit, geopolitical competitions, all what we are seeing right now. So, do you think? I think you're the best person to comment on it. That do you think a need for immediate steps to be taken, maybe as a preliminary steps, maybe they can be regulated later on to regulate this space. Because currently I don't see anything, frankly speaking. I think United Nations, I think we can have something like United Nations for the, how and why was United Nations formulated? Because countries were fighting. So now it's a great commercialization of space. So you can answer this only one question. Then I'll take Amna Malik and then maybe we have more questions if you want to stay. Please over to you. Thank you.
Sure, I can answer that quickly. I mean, in theory, so Outer Space Treaty, Article 6, says that countries are required to provide authorization and continuing supervision of national activities in space. So it isn't like commercial actors are able to do whatever they want. They're still held bound and liable to the whatever treaty regimes that their countries have signed up for. So, for example, SpaceX is a U.S. company, so they're held liable to the Outer Space Treaty regulations. Now, having said that, I think governance mechanisms, I think they're good. They have good bones. The space treaty, I think the principles are still very valid. It's just more a matter of, well, how do you interpret it as the space domain has evolved? One place where we're seeing, efforts to try and deal with that are at the United Nations and the Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, or COPUOS. They have created a space situational awareness expert group with the idea that having different actors come together to talk about, okay, how do we share information about SSA activities, and how do we share information about possible closure approaches across different categories? Getting down to the nitty gritty. What sort of data do you need to have? What kind of format does that need to be in? How do you develop points of contact? Things like that. So I think definitely there are ways in which to include those kind of conversations, particularly if you're looking at the commercial sector, because they are such a key part, both in terms of providing SSA capabilities, but also things that SSA would want to cover. So I think we're on the path there, but definitely it is changing very quickly, and it's important to, I think, provide a lot of political leadership to demonstrate that this is important for both companies and countries to work together on, to ensure that space is accessible to and usable for all over the long term.
Thank you, Professor, for good and quick answer.
I think some internet interruptions.
जी
Ammar
अम्मा
sir,
जाफरी
can
साहब
you unmute yourself?
अच्छा मुशर्रफ आप हैं हमारे साथ
I think उन दोनों का इंटरनेट का कोई प्रॉब्लम है।
जी 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 आप नवानी साहब आप शुरू करें अपना काम शुरू करें अपना शुरू करें
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Amna Munawar Rawan. I'm the president of a strategic think tank, Center of Pakistan and International Relations. And I'm very happy to be the part of this very interesting conversation and dialogue forum on space security and space cooperation at the global, regional, and national level. So I hope my screen is visible to you and you can see my
yes
presentation.
yeah we can see
जी,
it
जी,
please go ahead.
जी. So I would like to highlight, because we discussed and we organized number of consultation session with Ammar Jaffri Saab and other friends and our colleagues. So we try to formulate a framework on which we are working on our research, and we would like to collaborate with Ammar Jaffri Saab, Musharraf, and other experts who are the part of this SDG 18 working group. So I just, whatever I listened during so many, these dialogues, forums, and these conversations. So I just highlight that what I understood, and I would like you to add any point after my discussion and presentation. All of you are most welcome. So just give me a minute. Okay, it's visible to you?
जी बिल्कुल बदल नजर आ रहा है प्लीज गो ahead.
जी. So, governing the high frontier, global treaties, regional strategies, emerging security cooperation is something which is very important. And I think we should all discuss this matter. And I'll start with the new space uh, era, which also has many stakes involved, and there are many vulnerabilities. If we talk about the commercial explosion, mega concentration and private sector dominance are reshaping the orbital environment, and it is something which is increasing day by day. Then dual use dilemma, civilians, commercial, and military domains, they are increasingly coming up, and there are issues of the governance framework, which my earlier honorable speaker also mentioned about it. Then there are critical infrastructure reliance. PNT, satellite communication, and remote sensing now underpin essential civilian and military operations. So we require what happened? There are certain foundational global framework like Outer Space Treaty in 1967, Space as Province of All Mankind, WMD prohibition. Then there is a Registration and Liability Convention, state responsibility for space objects. Then there are structural limits, 20th century framework, inadequate for modern threats. So what we listened during all conversation that all the global frameworks are not efficient to cover the upcoming and present threats of space security. However, if we see from the regional perspective, I'll give you the transatlantic domain perspective. U.S. Artemis Accord norms for lunar exploration and strategic space diplomacy. This is something we should see that how they adopted, and this can be one of the case study which we should discuss. Then NATO space designated as fifth operational domain for deterrence and defense. So space is also considered another part of the warfare and governance, and it is considered the fifth operational domain. Then EU Triple SD Autonomous Resilient Infrastructure Initiative, that is also something which we would like to explore, and then we should apply on other regional models. Like I give you an example of Africa Space Agency bridging digital divide and promoting sustainable development, equitable access to orbital slots and capacity building initiatives. However, there are challenges of regional fragmentation and external influence on policy in Africa as well. But still, they are trying to develop some space framework. Now we talk about the Indo-Pacific. So China rapid space capability and counter space development is something which is very important, and I think Ammar Saab is the right person that we should have interaction and study from the European and US experts side by side from the Asia Pacific and Indo-Pacific experts as well. Pakistan, India, and Japan are also evolving defense oriented space policies, but we are in the process of it. And then there are regional security challenges and emerging alliances. So these are all the new interlinked areas. And here I also would like to add that cyber and space are somehow there is an intersection, and how risk of malicious hardware and software insertion throughout the manufacturing and integration process of the space products, then ground station attacks, cyber attacks, targeting, telemetry tracking, command, TTC system, and compromised satellite controls. Similarly, there are many other challenges as well. So, so what we learn from the global perspective, from the regional perspective, and from the national perspective, that there are policy gaps, and these needs to be addressed one way or another. First of all, there is inadequate legal mechanism for threats. Secondly, no binding norms for responsible behavior. Thirdly, inefficient global regional integration. Fourthly, fragmented approach for risk, any kind of risk escalation. Lastly, outdated treaty framework for modern era. So for modern warfare, new world order, and the new space game, we need to work on new security frameworks. And I think today discussion is something which is very important. Now, if we talk about the policy gaps, there are legal and normative challenges. We are having inadequate legal mechanism for threats, and then no binding norms for responsible behavior, insufficient global regional integration, and and similarly there are many other challenges. So how we should move forward? We need to strengthen the global governance alliance. How we can strengthen it? By number one, update and expand treaty framework. Number two, promote inclusive multilateral norm setting. Thirdly, enhance UN verification and enforcement. Fourth, foster space faring nation cooperation. support emerging space nations. And above all, it is very important because regional diplomacy, regional cooperation, and regional collaboration is something which is very important. And I believe that Pakistan as a country can play a very important role by engaging the other regional countries and study from the African example, EU example, from the US example, from the China example, that how to collaborate on any kind of space research and development, space youth startups, space security frameworks, and any kind of collaboration, because we believe, I think, the cyber and space are something we require the global and regional framework policy for security, for at the global level and at the regional level. So enhancing regional cooperation requires more strategies, support capacity building, promote regional transparency, address fragmented, and then foster inclusive regional partnerships. Similarly, we have to integrate space, cyber security, which I mentioned earlier, by managing joint cyber security standard framework, developing, strengthening supply chain security, invest in cyber resilience, foster information sharing, incident response protocols. So I believe that these are few of the recommendations which I would like to share it with you. And then I would like that we should add more points so that at this framework, at this platform, we'll be able to develop or propose or recommend a comprehensive global, regional, and national space security framework, and also suggest how we should all cooperate in this regard. Thank you very much.
Thank you much, Amna Malik Sahaba. Thank you very much. So now going further, I actually few of the attendees are I have not written their full name, so it's getting difficult for me to invite you. But no problem issues. So anybody who sees that she has to leave and she has to join, he or she has to leave, please raise your hand. I'll take the first one. Right now, I'd like to invite Mr. Umar Farooq. Umar Farooq Sahab, can you hear me? Umar Farooq Sahab, kindly unmute
Yes,
yourself.
sir. Targum, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for,
Yeah.
firstly, thank you for joining and also inviting
Sure.
your friend from Uzbekistan. I will also like to invite him
Mr.
also.
Mohammed Sadiq is there.
Yeah, Mr. Mohammed Sadiq,
Yeah.
you are here?
Mohammed Sadiq, can you hear us? Mohammed Sadiq, can you hear us from Uzbekistan? No issues. Definitely, there are some communication issues. So, Mr. Umar Farooq, you can
Yes, sir.
introduce yourself and what are your interests into SDG 18, that is space for all. Over to you. Thank you.
Uh, so basically, I just saw this venture or this opportunity that you created. So because in Dubai, in UAE, I'm working on different verticals. So one of our partners is also working on satellite manufacturing with Abu Dhabi government. So it's still in the pending, but little bit I have a little bit knowledge what they are doing. We will share you someday. And Mr. Sadiq, I will check. He is, I think, I will check
No
his.
issues. Meanwhile, you check them. So,
Yeah.
my question to all panelists sitting here is that Amna Malik, you rightly said that there is a lot of synergy between cyber and space. This is a very interesting discussion. I think we can talk about it. Cyber and space, because when cyber started, it just started abruptly. There was nothing in control, right? But now there are a lot of regulations, standards, everything. So anybody can respond to my question. My question is that space is like offering us number of opportunities. I think we hardly know 10% of it. Hardly know 10% of it, right? But we are now facing the like climate change and all these things. We are having the challenges from the space, right? So how to document these challenges and how to document these opportunities so that we can train the future leaders of the world to get hold of this knowledge. Yes, Suraj Fahim, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you for giving me opportunity to talk about upon this topic. Sir, the main reason about the for the climate change is because of lack of greenery. We don't have that much greenery in our society. The forests are being are getting demolished and getting less day by day because of falling of trees. I think that's the main reason of the climate change. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. Continue.
I think I've spoken all the things, and that's all from my side.
Musharraf, over to you, please. Ji, Suraj. Okay, fine. So now we have with us Dr. Ghazala. Can you hear me? Ghazala Jalil. Ghazala Jalil from Pakistan.
Yes, yes. I can hear you.
Thank you, Ghazala. Thank you for joining. It's a great opportunity to listen to you now. So now it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. There have been some very interesting presentations here so far, and Victoria's presentation was very insightful, and so was Miss Amna's. I do have a presentation, and I'll see if I can add something to that. And let me see if I can. Um,
Yeah, we can see your presentation. Please go ahead.
can see it? Okay.
Yeah, we can see it. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about challenges to space security today. And some of these challenges have already been talked about by previous speakers. I hope I can add a little bit to it. So the problem here has already been discussed. Space is increasingly congested, commercialized, and militarized. And there are over 15,000 satellites currently orbiting. And integration of emerging technologies like AI and into space systems and WMD system is also posing a threat. So the rapid expansion poses a risk to all space assets and the long-term viability of the domain. The core argument here is that existing international space law is inadequate, lacking universal adherence and enforcement mechanisms, particularly in three critical domains. So, sustainable space development. What is it? Ensuring that long-term viability and accessibility of space for peaceful purposes. The three pillars of challenge are military space activities and the increasing arms race that is developing among the top spacefaring nations like US, China, Russia. And then there's the issue of space debris that has already been talked about. And then there's the commercial space activities and that are expanding exponentially. So the first challenge is the militarization of versus weaponization. So space has been militarized for a really long time in terms of supporting the military infrastructure of countries, ISR, navigation, communication. But weaponization of space is relatively new, and it is driven by the great power competition. And the key weapons categories are anti-satellite weapons,
including land and space-based weapons and kinetical weapons. Then there's directed energy weapons. And then components of ballistic missile defense, especially the US initiative of Golden Dome that envisages hundreds of space interceptors. Those are also essentially forms of space weapons. And then there's the security dilemma that the pursuit of space dominance by certain countries, dominant countries like US, is creating a security dilemma among other spacefaring countries and causing them to develop counter space capabilities. Then, talking a little bit more about space weaponization, here are some visual aids. This is the 2025 global assessment. This has been taken from the organization that Victoria heads, and it shows that US, Russia, China have some of these counter space capabilities. And then this chart shows the anti-satellite tests. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was mostly US and Russia that were doing these anti-satellite tests. But in recent decade or two, we can see other actors have joined this race, including India and China. Then another challenge that Victoria has talked about at length is the challenge of space debris, and she's already talked a lot about it. So I'll go quickly through this one. So the real danger here is that objects traveling at tremendous speed, even small fragments, can be catastrophic. So ISSI, International Space Station, has performed regular debris avoidance maneuvers. And the threat multiplier is the ASAT test that create thousands of pieces. So just to give you an idea, Chinese test of 2007 created 3,000 pieces of debris, and India's 2019 test created 400 pieces. And then there's this notion of Kessler syndrome, which means that a chain reaction can be caused by collision of these objects traveling in space, and that could make, and then collisions could set off a chain or a chain reaction of collisions, creating smaller and a more number of pieces of debris, which could essentially make space unusable for satellites for years, for decades, essentially. So this challenge, unregulated commercial expansion, this has already been also been talked about. Space exploration utilization is no longer exclusive to states. The companies like SpaceX, Rocket Lab dominate launch services, and there's proliferation of mega constellations. And then the economic driver of this expansion is, just to give you an idea, says economy is expected to reach 1.8 trillion US dollars by 2035. And then there are future trends are resource extraction. There is already a race, ongoing race among leading spacefaring nations, especially the US and China, for a race to the moon and Mars. And it's also a race for resource extraction. There's also talk about space tourism. Then the issue is the regulatory gap. Exponential growth means more traffic, more congestion, more debris, and unregulated activities. So, what about the regulatory vacuum? in existing law. As already talked about, there are a few key treaties that govern outer space, and then Outer Space Treaty of 1967 is the main one. But the problem with that one is that it only bans weapons of mass destruction, and it does not ban conventional offensive weapons like anti-satellites, directed energy weapons, and kinetic weapons. Then there's also Moon Agreement, which is quite comprehensive. It prohibits military activities on the moon and appropriating resources, but its limitation is that there are a few state parties to Moon Agreement. And then there are a number of non-binding measures. One of the longest ongoing initiative is the Prevention of an Arms Race in Outer Space Initiative. This has been in place since 1981, and it represents deadlock. It has been deadlocked for decades due to primarily opposition by US and Western countries to a legally binding treaty. They somehow feel that it is against their national interests to negotiate a legally binding treaty that bans space weapons. So what are the proposed solutions? The destructive anti-satellite testing, there is an initiative introduced by the US that places a moratorium by the US in 2022, and it can essentially be converted to a moratorium into a legally binding international treaty if there's enough support. And then limits on offensive systems. We can develop rules against hostile rendezvous and proximity oppression. We can establish limitations on the range and targeting capabilities of directed energy weapons. And then also confidence building measures, such as advanced data sharing on launches, orbits, and maneuvers. And internationally recognized protocols for safe operation and avoidance. Then what can be the short-term solutions? Can be strengthen existing treaties, amend the Outer Space Treaty Article 5 to explicitly ban the placement of any weapons in space, establish more robust dispute resolution mechanism, create a traffic management system framework, which can consist of legally binding rules for collision avoidance, orbital slot allocation, mandatory deorbiting procedures, national legislation, and controls. These are also very implemented. Countries should implement stringent domestic licensing for all space activities, governmental and non-governmental, and then exercise technology export controls on sensitive dual space technologies. Then some conclusions and takeaways. The greatest threat, in my opinion, today is to sustainable space development is the hastening arms race among major powers. And relying on non-binding norms and responsible behavior is insufficient. To guarantee peace and sustainability, there is an urgent need to negotiate and ratify comprehensive, legally binding treaties that prohibit the placement of offensive systems and weapons in outer space. And failure to act decisively now risks extending terrestrial conflict into space, diminishing security for all, and potentially rendering orbital environments unstable. So thank you so much. That's all
Thank you.
from me
Thank you, Vadala.
today for
Thank
now.
you, Vadala. It is a wonderful talk and very timely. You know, the challenge right now is that so many things are happening in space. That's what we call it now SDG 18 in our terms. But now I think there's a need to go on a very, very fast track. So our next speaker is definitely Dr. Atif. Dr. Atif, please unmute yourself. Dr. Atif. Okay, Dr.
Can you
Rita,
hear
are
me?
you here? Okay,
Yes,
just a
I'm here.
minute. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Dr. Atif, you'll have to wait. Dr. Rita, are you there? Please unmute yourself.
Hello, good
Yeah,
evening to
yeah, Dr.
everyone.
Rita, please, please go ahead because we are already late. So please, just no introduction. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to welcome all the participants and the distinguished speakers that are there along with me. And it's a wonderful opportunity to discuss about a very important topic, which is related to how important it is to have a space governance framework and how the future space could look if we don't govern and how the ungoverned space will be. So it's always that humanity has always looked towards the star with the curiosity and ambition. And from the very beginning of first satellite that was launched by USSR, then Sputnik 1 in 1957, led to the humans being in space. And all these missions that were launched from the initial period to till date has transformed. So the first satellite that was launched was an prestige kind of a uh, domain that we did see with that we reached, but now it is like more of a modern missions which look up to optimization and utilization of outer space and its resources. So it's quite transformed in the science, in the communication, in the weather forecasting, navigation, and most importantly the national security. So it is very important to understand that the countries and the private companies who enter into the outer space domain, the important question arises is who governs the space. So we do have a outer space treaty of 1967, which are epitome document regarding the governance framework and the kind of foundational rules that are established, but it is somewhat not able to manage what we are facing currently with this boom in technical upgradation and the kind of vision that humans are having in furthering their missions in Mars, in on Moon. So it's very important that the governance framework integrate the international laws, rules, and all the organizations and agreements are synced together so that we are performing our activities more peacefully, more responsibly, and sustainably so that we can benefit whole humankind. It's not about the nations competing with each other, it's the nations cooperating with each other. So it's very important that we undertake all the activities responsibly, and the foundation of the outer space treaty, which was that the space belongs to all the humanity and no nation can appropriate or claim the ownership or can utilize those resources for their own benefit, is something we need to promote. And we need to get to a conclusion where we don't use the space as another domain of war or somewhat a non-peaceful exploration domain, because we cannot afford what we have done on earth with unregulated domains and unregulated resources to do the same at such a in extraterrestrial planets and in extraterrestrial zone. So it's important that organizations such as United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, which is ANUSA, help the countries to cooperate in space related matters. And today, the space governance has become the most important issue because we are technologically developing, we are technologically moving ahead, but the policies, the governance is also needed to be upgraded simultaneously. So it's very important that the technology is not the only thing that should be focused on. The governance is also something with respect to space related matters that needs the consideration, because private companies like SpaceX, like Blue Origin, they are making more and more constellations, the mega constellations in space, though they are boosting somewhat the economy, somewhat the human impression on extraterrestrial resources and making space more accessible, but these mega constellations are also hindering some of our rights. Like we no one can see the dark sky, and our future generations who have the right to see those dark skies, to experience the Milky Way, and to gaze at the starry nights. So if we are somewhat taking away those kind of experiences from the present and future generation, it will be highly concerning, and it is somewhat very much overcrowding of space with satellites, which also can hinder the future missions and the future human exploitation or exploration of outer space, and indeed an unequal access to the space resources. So it's very important. And if I talk about how the countries have the role in somewhat cooperating and in somewhat being each other's friend in terms of space is very important, because we are very well versed about the fact that the countries have these national security issue and somewhat trust issues between them when it is about sharing the satellite images or resources, or getting together to do the missions. But we need to understand that the space is not just about rockets and astronauts. It's about the responsible behavior. It's about the cooperation. It's about the future of humanity. And we all should come together and make governance framework and create a fair, sustainable, and peaceful rules for outer space, where the countries are not discriminated just because they don't have the capacity or capabilities in the present moment to explore the space. So, in conclusion, I would just want to say a few lines, which is like space governance is essential to ensure that outer space continues to benefit present and future generation. And by promoting international cooperation and responsible behavior, we can protect the final frontier for humankind. And it is very important that space is sustainable for all the nations, and it is equitably accessible with all the nations. So thank you. If there are any
Thank
questions,
you,
if there
Dr.
are any
Akhtar. Thank
comments.
you very much. Thank you very much. Dr. Akhtar, just give me 30 seconds. Your talk has been very eye-opener, I must say, especially the reference to space governance. And definitely, my request to all of the international participants is that SDG Academy of Pakistan, on every Sunday at 9 p.m., we'll be structuring this discussion. And I'm really grateful to all partners who are working with us from different parts of the country. Space is going to be the biggest challenge in 1 or 2 years to come, right? Unless we do not understand the opportunities, it'll be just like in cyberspace. What we did, we never thought about the criminal element in cyberspace. So, with my experience, I can foresee number of criminalities in space governance, and on the Earth we can catch them, and in the space it will be difficult to even catch them. Thank you. So, Dr. Atif,
With that,
yeah, please.
yeah, with that thing that you mentioned, I just
Mm.
want to add a small case study, if you allow.
Yeah, please,
Just
please,
one
please.
minute.
Yes.
Yes. So, recently there were some accusations with respect to the Maxer technology. It is a company which is based in US. So there were a few allegations with respect to that they are supplying satellite images to certain group of people who want to create some kind of nuisance in some country. So there were allegations with respect to the terror attack which happened in Pahalgaon, and there was certain allegation regarding this. So you are indeed right that many criminal activities or many kind of non-human activities can undertake with respect to using the satellites and the kind of products that we deliver through satellites. So it's very important for us as nations to ensure that those kind of acts are restricted, they are restrained, and they're discouraged, because otherwise it is the humans and the life of humans which are being at stake, and we cannot make the technology a weapon where we are exploiting it to just get into some personal grudges or this. It is a
Absolutely.
way big more
I
resources.
would like to call it a weaponization of space, and it is going to be a very dangerous trend. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Dr. Atif, sorry
Thank
for keeping you waiting, but she was in the line.
I'm really
And
sorry, Dr. Atif,
no, no, no,
but
no
thank you
issues.
so
Yeah, I know that
No
there were
issue,
some
no issue.
internet issues. So over to you, Dr. Atif, without, because your
Okay,
introduction
so
is here. Thank you, Dr. Atif. Please go ahead.
okay. Can you hear me, Anjo?
Yeah, very clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it was it was a good talk. This one and the first one. Just attended these two. I've just tried to focus on the commercial one. Like my field is the space mission design, so I can focus on because almost all the other aspects have been covered. So I just try to focus on how the mission designer try to keep these things in consideration and try to focus and to avoid these uncertainties, you can say, as the unwanted things that we don't want. But of course, there's a risk. So in the mission design, of course, the first thing is to design an orbit. For the orbit design, there are multiple things to consider. The first, like its height. Of course, in the LU currently there is a very you can say almost most of the public and private sectors, commercial space mission designer are focusing on that because they have multiple advantages. And the GEO and the MEO there is not that much rush, but and the LEO of course. So the first thing is to identify based on your mission, if it is Earth observation mission, if it is communication mission, if it is communication from space to ground or communication between the satellites. So like the constellation. So there are multiple types of missions. Based on that you decide the orbit. So its inclination, its height, everything you consider, and then. Of course, based on the mission, you decide it's like, for example, the data I'm trying to share with you. This is for Earth observation satellite, where we need the resolution, everything. But of course, the key thing right now here that is important for this webinar is the orbit and its congestion. So for the orbit, of course, this is the simulation from the SDK. It's SDK, like if you have the latest version, so you can access the currently available active satellites in the space. So when you design the orbit, the first thing that you need to see is its collision avoidance, whether it is going to collide with something or not, whether it is risky or not. So the first thing is its security. It's to see whether there any other satellite, like it was discussed in the first discussions, that there should be there are some space management rule like the traffic control. So for that, each satellite, each TLE has its own orbit, its own, like plus minus 10 kilometer, can be like that. But it has its own eccentricity, on its own height, its own it's called the inclination angle, everything. So if you have the access to the currently available database that is available with the different companies, so you can try to like there are multiple software, like the SDK is one of the recommended software from the NASA that you can use for its mission design, so that you can see whether your orbit will or your satellite will be safe or not. So for this purpose, we design a mission of multiple missions, but this is one of the example that is for Saudi Arabia. Like you identify the areas, and based on that you identify the orbit, and then you need to see. So with this software you can do this analysis to see whether it is safe or not. So then, of course, these are the orbit parameters, or you can say the orbit requirements that you must fulfill. Like you need to talk to the launch providers that these are my orbit parameters. Of course, you need to approval for that. It's called mission authorization. So for the mission authorization, it is important to inform them that this is my orbit with all these details, and I will be launching in this one. So if you got the approval for that, then you can launch. But of course, you need to provide all the reports that I did these type of analysis for this, and after that they will go for its authorization. When you authorize, then the launch provider can help you to launch your satellite. So this is one other thing that need to be considered. There are multiple thresholds. For example, you have the 525 kilometer of height of altitude, and then can be plus minus something like that. So to identify the threshold means like you can see in this picture, this small dot is the satellite. this red, you can say that is the red color ball, you can say that this is the threshold you can identify based on it can be based on the European Space Agency rules. It can be 2 kilometer, like this is the satellite, so this is 1 kilometer and 1 kilometer. Similarly, for the NASA rules, it should be 1 kilometer, and for the SpaceX, they consider 500, like 0.5 kilometer. So if your satellite is going to be read with some of the, like these are all TLAs, these are all satellites with these specific threshold that you will mention. Like you can see this, all the green are the satellites with the threshold, with the envelope over the satellite. So when you do this analysis, this will help you to identify how much TLEs you analyze and how much are risky. Risky means it is coming closer to the satellite. Like this, in this case, it is closer. It is very close to this satellite. Like the overlap is touching, so its color is red now. But if it is a bit distant, so it will be yellow. But if it's not touching this, not coming close to this area, it means it will be green like this. So these type of analysis are important to identify how much risky your orbit is, or how much safe you can say it's your orbit is. This is one of the analysis that you do for its authorization, with the, of course, with the UN Office of the Outer Space Affairs. After, like, through the you will approach them through your national space body. Like for Pakistan, it's Sparko; for India, it's on. So multiple countries. Like for KSA, right now we have the Saudi Space Agency. So we will approach them through Saudi Space Agency, and they will support us. We will provide them all the analysis, and then after that, when they see that yes, it's okay, then they will allow us for the mission authorization. This is one of the example that one of the satellite was coming very close to the satellite we mentioned. So we try to see, there are multiple websites where you can see your TLEs. It is how much close, and like for example, doing this analysis, you have multiple filters to apply. If you want to remove the, for example, for each mission, there are multiple, like they have mission lifetime. For example, it's 7 years or 5 years. So after that, the mission will finish, but the satellite should be deorbit, or should go to the graveyard orbit. But if it is not going to the graveyard orbit, or not deorbit, bringing back with the passive or active deorbiting strategies, it will be there, and this will be risky. So to avoid that, like you can do multiple type of analysis. You can filter them with different options. But the analysis we did, so there was a satellite that was coming very close. So we try to identify which TLE or which satellite this is, and then we try to identify with different software that like with the database. Software means the authentic websites where those who have the access to the actual currently, like the space objects that have been launched are active or not. So they have the access to that. So then you can identify how much your tail is, at how much distance. Like in this case, and we identified it is 50.74 kilometer away from our satellites. So still it's going to be red, and you can see it's almost overlapping. So this type of analysis, it's mandatory, and you need to provide these reports to the outer space affairs, for the UN outer space affairs. Then they will provide the analysis. This is the thing that is important for any space mission, to avoid the risk. And the important thing is, when you finish the satellite, the mission, so it's mandatory to deorbit your satellites with different strategies. Can be active, can be passive. Active means you are going to deploy something that can bring your satellite down, or you can activate your thrusters, if you have the thrusters, to increase its speed, to move its to the what's called the graveyard orbit. So using that, like what I just did this analysis with the passive one. So if we just rotate the solar panels, then its lifetime can be like in this case, with different weight in the drag area, it's like in this case it's not possible. Then we increase, so within 1.2 years it can deorbit. So there are multiple ways. When you finish your mission timeline out, so you need to deorbit your satellite with different strategies, and this is one of the important
section of the mission authorization that you provide to them, that my mission will be up to this much time, and after that I will deorbit my satellite with this method, with all the analysis, with all the results. So when they see this thing, so they will allow you. So I think these are the important things that are related to this specific topic. But I think there's a time limitation. I have a lot of data, but I can't present. So I think we can move to the next one. But the important thing for this specific space debris congestion or risk analysis, collision avoidance analysis, I think these are the important things that need to be considered. So this from my side. If there is any question, I'm ready to hear, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So quickly we'll
Okay.
give time to all our presenters, then we can have question answer.
Thank you so much.
So our next session is scientific solution for a sustainable space future. You know, the word sustainability is very dicey now. Because we are doing all these things under SDG 18. That is a sustainable goal. The one of the sustainable goal. So we have two worthy panelists for this. One is Mr. Salman, and he's a PhD in space engineering, and one is Ms. Bastul Gertie. It is always difficult for me to name her. So, Dr. Salman, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hi there. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
All right. I want to share my screen, so
No,
give me a
please,
second.
just give me 1 minute. Just give me one
Yeah.
minute. Just give me 1 minute. Can you please raise your hand, because there are a lot of speakers, a lot of people here. Yeah.
Yes, give me a second.
Here you are. Here you are. Please.
Perfect.
Okay. Please go ahead.
All right. You all can see the screen, right?
It's uploading right now. Yeah. No, we can see it. Please go ahead.
Perfect. Great. So, good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm first of all very pleased to be here and to be part of this very important and timely discussion on this topic. For those of you who do not know me, I am Salman Ali Tabdawala. I am from Pakistan, but based in Germany, where my professional work focuses on satellite mission safety, collision avoidance, including Copernicus and Sentinel mission safety work. I'm also a PhD scholar working on operational management and service continuity analysis framework for low Earth orbit mega constellations. And I've been part of this discussion for the last an hour or something, and I've seen that many important points have already been discussed today. And what I would like to do is I would like to build on them by focusing more on the operational perspective of space security. Because when we hear the phrase space security, we often think of weapons in orbit or competition between major powers. And while those issues are real and they do exist, there is also another layer to space security, one that is more operational and closer to daily satellite activity, especially as orbital activity continues to increase. And this brings us to the questions that can satellites continue to avoid collisions safely? Can operators coordinate those maneuvers effectively? And most importantly, can a spacecraft's behavior be understood before it is misread as a threat? And this leads to the central idea of my talk today, that in a crowded and dual-use orbital environment, space traffic management is not only an engineering function, it is becoming a peace infrastructure. Because if you see traditionally, space safety, sustainability, and security have been often discussed separately. Today, however, these three dimensions are highly interconnected because a collision is not only a safety event, it creates debris that affects everyone's access to orbit. If I'm not wrong, many of some of the Copernicus missions as well right now, they are affected and they have to do collision avoidance maneuvers because of the Iridium Cosmos collision back in 2009. So it creates debris that affects everyone's access to orbit and safe operations in the future. Similarly, a satellite maneuver is not only an operational decision. In certain contexts, it can be interpreted as a signal. And a service disruption is not only a technical outage, but it can directly affect our way of living and even national resilience. So space security is no longer about preventing conflict. It is also about preserving predictable, safe, and usable space operation. And this predictability must become the foundation of peaceful space activity, I believe. Um, a lot of the statistics have already been shared earlier, so I'm just going to say that, with all those satellites and the evolving space environment, the challenge we are facing today is not only the volume, it is also coordination. So more satellites mean more conjunction warnings, which means more maneuver decisions and more operational complexity. And this complexity, unfortunately, does not affect all space actors equally, because large operators may have their tracking systems, resources, and entire pipelines to manage all of this complex stuff. But the emerging actors may not be able to do so, or may not have the resources simply. So the question is not only who has access to space, it is also what kind of space environment are the new actors entering into, and if it's safe and cooperative or congested and mistrustful. Which brings me to my next point, the link between congestion and security. Because satellites maneuver for several reasons, be it collision avoidance, orbital maintenance, and of life disposal. But as the environment becomes more and more crowded, there are more and more close approaches and more proximity capable systems to interpret. And in a geopolitically sensitive environment, that interpretation itself becomes harder. For instance, a close approach could mean inspection, servicing, debris avoidance, or something even more concerning. And this is where technical safety becomes politically sensitive. And the key principle that I would like to highlight is this: predictability is the currency of space security. And allow me to make this concrete with one example. Let's take active debris removal. Because a spacecraft that can approach, inspect, and capture a debris object is exactly the capability we need for a sustainable orbital environment and orbital cleaning currently. But if we were to look at the same capability from another operator's perspective, that same spacecraft that can capture debris can also interfere with an active satellite. And this is the reason I believe the technology itself is not the problem. The problem is ambiguity. And we should be answering the questions such as, was the operation announced? Is the trajectory understandable? And are there norms for safe distance and notification? Because even though space active debris removal and other related technologies are essential for space sustainability, their success will ultimately depend on trust and transparency. Because these same capabilities can protect, inspect, service, but they can also pose a threat. So governance, I believe, must not focus only on hardware, but also on behavior. Because the danger is not only always deliberate weaponization, it is also misinterpretation at times. And once mistrust enters the system, even normal operations becomes harder. So let me get to this word peace infrastructure that I mentioned in my title. What do I mean when I say STM is a peace infrastructure? I do not certainly mean that it will geopolitical competition, because it most certainly will not. But what it can do is create a shared operational layer that reduces risk, even when political divides remain. And STM can achieve all of this through a list of practical actions you can see on the right of the screen, by detecting objects, identifying operators, predicting conjunctions, sharing data, coordinating maneuvers, and most importantly, documenting behavior. So all of it is traceable. And yes, of course, this might not sound glamorous, but it is essential. Safe space activity does not only depend on advanced technology, it also depends on the quality of coordination between actors. Take, for instance, the air traffic management. It does not remove all the risks, but what it does do is create a shared expectation, coordination, and trust. And I believe space needs the same logic adapted to the realities of the space environment. And I think it's also important at this stage to slightly touch on the policy side of things. Again, everything, some of these things have been discussed already. We have the UN long-term sustainability guidelines. We have the EU Space Act, the European Union Space Act, that reflects a similar shift towards safety, resilience, and sustainability. And Germany's own space safety and security strategies emphasizes responsible behavior, resilience, and rule-based use. And if you notice, the common thread among all of them is that responsible behavior must be visible in practice, because a responsible space actor is not only responsible because it declares peaceful intent. It must behave in ways that others can observe and understand to eliminate any element of mistrust, because we cannot, or we may not be able to always verify intent directly, but what we can do is make behavior more observable. And this is where policy, engineering, and operations meet. And that connection is becoming more important with each passing year. Now, let me bring this point closer to home, closer to Pakistan, because for countries building their space role, Pakistan and many others, the question is not only whether they can launch satellites, it is whether they are entering an orbital environment that remains safe, predictable, and fair. Because although the responsibility for sustainability is shared, unfortunately, the consequences of irresponsible behavior are not shared equally. Emerging space actors are often most exposed to risk from an environment they did not fully shape. So for emerging actors, sustainability is not a luxury, it's an access policy. And this perspective is increasingly reflected in the national strategies around the world. For instance, take Pakistan's national space policy, which links space activities to peaceful purposes, safety, sustainability, and international cooperation. And I believe this is exactly the right framing that needs to be there, because countries like Pakistan should not see themselves, and even other emerging actors should not see themselves only as late participants into a system shaped by others. They should be part of shaping the norms, behaviors that will define the next phase of space activity. Now, to conclude all of this, looking at the way forward around SDG 18 and space security, I would frame it around the three priorities shown here. First is we need to definitely improve shared awareness, better tracking, accessible conjunction data, and everything else, so the environment is visible to everyone and not only to the well-resourced. Second, we need to be able to treat dual-use technologies with transparency. Debris removal, proximity operations, and all of that should be designed not only for technical success, but also for security perception. And third, we need to connect policy to daily behavior. Treaties and guidelines do matter, most definitely, but space security will also be shaped by routine decisions, which takes into account how operators maneuver, communicate, and respond to the risk. Because the goal is most definitely not to slow down innovation, because powerful technologies must be paired with predictable behavior. And that balance is the key challenge we are facing today. And for countries entering the space ecosystem now, the stakes of getting it right are especially high. And last but not the least, for emerging space actors, the future of space is not only about entering the orbit, it is about entering responsibly, confidently, and most importantly, early enough to help shape the rules. Because Space for All requires more than access to just launch. It requires access to a safe and trusted orbital environment. And that is why I say space traffic management is more than a technical discipline. It is a peace infrastructure for the orbital age. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Things are moving so fast. I always want to comment and engage others, but again, now we are short of time now.
Of course.
So, Bestie, are you there? Bestie Bolo, please unmute yourself.
Hello. Yeah, good evening. Yes,
Go ahead, Amy.
Ram.
Please go ahead. Just introduce yourself
Let me
and
share my
go ahead.
screen.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good. You want to share your screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, done. Please go ahead. We can see your screen right now. Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Basuti Getibolo. I'm an endowed chair of educational technologies at Africa University in Zimbabwe. I'm going to give a presentation about artificial intelligence and satellite monitoring for sustainable development and societal resilience, leveraging artificial intelligence and space technologies for global impact. Why space science and technology and artificial intelligence? They support sustainable development goals through applications, example in agriculture, Satellite and artificial intelligence can be used to achieve sustainable agriculture by providing satellite or geospatial information for decision making on what crops to grow and where and why. And also it's used for climate monitoring. Satellite can provide information about weather, forecast, and also climate change. Disaster management, satellite and artificial intelligence technologies can be used also to monitor disasters like wildfires, flooding, and estimate or forecast disasters as well. And also environmental protection, where to identify areas of like air pollution, water pollution, and so on. And also including the smart cities, where geospatial intelligence can be used to provide suitable areas for cities and also to provide areas of dumping sites around the cities and so on. So the benefits of artificial intelligence and satellite systems that artificial intelligence and satellite system, they improve efficiency, so they provide society with the accurate data sets and resilience, while helping government and communities make informed decision. Because without information on where and why things are happening in that areas, that is very difficult to decide on the areas of interest or areas of potential areas of certain activities, like location of urban areas, of arable lands, and also for activities such as maybe infrastructure, other road infrastructure, and so on. And as global challenges continues to increase, artificial intelligence and satellite technologies are becoming essential tools for building sustainable and resilient societies. So I'm going to give you an example on how satellite and artificial intelligence system can be used in agriculture. They are used in agriculture for precision farming, to get information on areas of suitable areas for crops and also for non-crops areas. And satellites can provide a real-time information on crop health and so on, and also provide smart agriculture, where smart irrigation systems, weather monitoring, and plant monitoring can be used through the use of satellite imagery. And also crop monitoring and yield prediction, satellite images can be used and integrated with artificial intelligence, where the data or the technology of artificial intelligence can be used to extract information on crops, crop health, and prediction on the imagery, satellite imagery. Also, they can be used to detect soil and water management, can be also be monitored using satellite integrated with artificial intelligence. Drought and pest detection also can be focused or can be identified through the use of satellite imagery and artificial intelligence. So on the climate change monitoring, it can be used to track greenhouse gases and emissions. There are satellite imageries that can be provide or monitor air pollution or the activities that can produce greenhouse gases emissions, and also can be used to monitor glaciers, oceans, and forests. Uh, the satellite can be used to provide data sets or imagery of areas of deforestation, areas of glaciers, and also to monitor oceans, sea level rise, and air and pollution as well. Climate modeling and prediction, like you see, weather forecasting, and so on. This is produced by the use of satellite imagery and artificial intelligence through the machine learning and development of algorithm to identify things and also to estimate predictions of climate change, and also supporting climate adaptation. So, in disaster risk reduction and management, satellite and artificial intelligence can be used for monitoring floods and identify areas of potential floods, areas of potential wildfires, and also it can detect wildfires and also forecast floods and wildfires. So the earthquake damage assessment also can be monitored using satellite imageries, and also can be used also to predict the earthquake and so on. Early warning system also is once the availed information on the existing earthquakes and the existing flooding areas or flooded areas, satellite imagery and artificial intelligence can be used to predict for early warning systems. And also for humanitarian responses and recovery, satellite imagery can be used also to identify areas of disasters and also to monitor responses and also coverage and also identify areas of vulnerabilities and so on. So with environmentally protection and conservation, satellite images can be used to identify or to map areas of deforestation, to monitor forestation and also biodiversity, and also to identify areas of biodiversity for protection, and also satellite through global positioning system can also be used or integrated with global navigation system to track wildlife tracking, and also for pollution and water quality assessment through satellite earth observation imageries that can provide areas for identify pollution, water pollution, and also to assess water quality through the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning processes or technologies. So with urban development and smart cities, smart infrastructure monitoring is used by satellites, either global navigation satellite system for positioning areas like smart power stations or power stations for the society to identify areas or areas that are near the cities or that are within cities, or to identify areas that can be near certain locations. And also it can be used to identify traffic and transportation hotspots or areas or offices and so for management. Land use planning also is better used by the use of satellite, because land use with satellites, you can identify areas, activities within an area, within a city. You can identify areas of industries, areas of um, of educational facilities, health facilities, and also identify areas, activities that can maybe produce pollutions and so on. Population growth analysis also can be used through use of satellite imagery and in artificial intelligence to identify areas with the density, high density of population, and areas with sparsely populated and so on. So societal resilience and human security, enhancing food security by identify areas of potential areas for agriculture and also public health and surveillance. So satellite images and artificial intelligence can also be used to identify conflict and migration, monitoring of movement of people, maybe from rural areas or within a city and so on. And also for community resilience building. So with satellite and artificial intelligence, it can provide geospatial information or geographical information on activities. Is either can be an activities or on agriculture activities or activities in the urban areas and so on for better management and monitoring of the resources. So artificial intelligence and satellite monitoring are transforming the society in a way that the society get smart information like real-time information on what is happening where and why for them to plan well, and also critical for sustainable development and resilience because with availed information, decisions can be taken according to what is happening in on the environment and so on. And also there's a need for collaboration, innovation, and policy support so that the use of satellite imagery and artificial intelligence can be used in a way that to provide accurate information, and also the information can be monitored or policies can be developed for quality and security. So the recommendation is that invest in artificial intelligence and satellite infrastructure to provide geographic information or spatial information of the environment, and also strengthen global partnership so that because when you talk of the food security, it's not for one nation, it cuts across, it's global. So strengthening global partnership can assist in the reduce poverty level, and also build local technical capacity so that to identify areas of need, and also to train people in areas in locations so that they can use satellites and also artificial intelligence to manage the resources for sustainable development. So this was my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, Ji, fine. I think it has been a wonderful session up till now. So our next round is on panel discussion, and the topic will be the same: space governance challenges. We are honored to have Dr. Amir Mahmood with us. Sir, are you there, Dr. Amir Mahmood?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very much here.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
I
you. So
was
kind of you.
listening the last presentation very carefully because
Yeah.
it was to do with the early warning system.
Yeah.
I'm also working on installation of early warning system in Pakistan using satellite emergency response system for various major natural hazards.
So thank you much, sir. I think sharp at 9 we started this, and there have been so many people. I was just checking. There had been more than 100 people who stayed there. They were there talking. It's all recorded. We'll send you a copy also. So before the panel discussion, we have our one last speaker, Mr. Sadek from Uzbekistan. Mr. Sadek, can you hear me? Mr. Sadek.
Yes, His Excellency, dear colleagues.
Thank you,
Yes, I'm
thank
here.
you, thank you, thank you. We
Thank
can
you,
hear you.
Professor
We can.
Ammar.
Yeah, we
Thank
My
can
you.
hear
Thank
pleasure.
you.
you.
Please
Yes,
go
thank
ahead.
you.
You are the last panelist, and then we'll have the panel discussion. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor. Actually, I want to introduce myself. First of all, thank you for accepting me to your community. And let me introduce myself. My full name is Tudor Muhammad Sadak. I'm from Uzbekistan. Maybe you have heard about it, Cosmos Agency, which is related to Uzbekistan. Cosmos Agency under the Ministry of Digital Technology. Our Cosmos Agency launched.
Sadiq, by the way, I had been there a number of times. I used to work with their cybersecurity department, so I know your beautiful
Oh,
country very well. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
okay, thank you. It's great honor to hearing you, to try to working with you, to launching new connection with you because I work with Cosmos Agency as a chief specialist for innovation and research and attracting grants and education department, and we are. N- Let me share my screen if you don't mind.
Yeah, please. Just give me.
Yes, just quickly, briefly, I will introduce about. Is it visible?
Just a minute. I'm giving you right to screen. Share your screen. Yeah, please. No, now you can share. Please go ahead. Please go
Is
ahead.
visible? Am I right?
Yeah. No, no, it's not visible.
It's not
Now
visible.
your co-host, you can share your screen, but it's not visible
Just
right now.
okay. Just a minute. I see it's
Yes.
visible now.
Yeah, no
Am I
visible.
right?
Please. Yeah,
Yes, Cosmos Agency. Let me introduce a bit. Let me introduce a bit about Cosmos Agency, and here our 5 steps. Uh, Continuous analysis for strategy planning, forecasting of emergency situation, target solutions to minimize damage, operational assessment of damage, and the scale of emergencies. And here you can see it's our project. It's an ongoing project. If you have any research, if you have any offer, or if you have any idea, you can. We are open to all your offers. We are open to collaborate with you, especially. And this project is about system for accurate calculation of extraction volumes based on remote monitoring. This is one of our ongoing project, and monitor actual production volumes, compare report that data with the actual state of the query, establish a tax base, and ensure transparency in subsoil use. You can see, if you want, I can share this presentation for you also, His Excellency. And next project is monitoring of agriculture land fires. For this project, we are working with UN. Uh, I think you know about it. You are a member of this UN Department for Agriculture. We call it FAO. And here you can see satellite-based monitoring introduced to track stubble burning after the wheat harvest. And here you can see we have some databases. We are working with these databases. And the next one is it's a new project for Forestry 2025 within the framework of state space monitoring. We are collaborating with some government organizations, like we have a Ministry of Forest. We are collaborating with them, and we are working with this project with them also. And next project is forest fire monitoring. For example, forest fire monitoring, digitization of managed forest. Here you can see this is a map of This is a map of Uzbekistan, and this red signal, it's going. It means that it's going forest. What we do, we will take a picture from the cosmos, and we will just give signal to government organizations that it's going fire in forest. And then in one day, or let's say in 20, in 10 hours, special emergency group, they will visit there, and they just put off they just get out this fire. Second one, I mean, the next project is identifying cases of all illegal cutting of trees. Why? Because we are trying to be very friendly to environment. That's why we are doing this project with Ministry of Agriculture. Uh, for example, hereby we are trying to seeding year by year, seeding new plants and trees also. But not only seeding, but not only planting, but also we are trying to save them. That's why we are working with this project also. And these projects implemented in partnership. For example, forest fire monitoring, and for example, vegetation indicates map. I think you know NDV, GNDV, and EV, RDV. All, I think you have heard about it, you know about it. We are working with these methods. And this one is identifying solar panel locations through aerospace monitoring. This for especially solar panel organizations, solar panel corporations. For example, we will analyze a place and we will inform them. For example, Masdar or Aquapower belongs to Saudi. Masdar belongs to UAE, and their branch in Tashkent. We are now trying to collaborate with them. For example, if they want to install their solar panels, but they don't know which place is suitable for them. They will contact with us. We will tell them these places, this region, this place is suitable for solar panel. You can save around 30% of your money for using our service. And electric power transmission network, it's also one of our projects. And road condition monitoring using airspace monitoring and artificial intelligence. Of course, as you mentioned, nowadays AI is unseparable part of our life, and also we are also integrating AI to our monitoring system, airspace monitoring system and water management sector. As you know, Uzbekistan located in center of Central Asia, and of course, we surrounded with four countries, but actually that's why we are trying to save our water management by using AI. For example, AI with integration AI, the screen show us where the water is going, and the human being using this water with legally or illegally, with saving or with wasting, they all informing us, and we try to avoid it. And thank you for your attention, His Excellency. Thank you for all our members.
Thank
It's just
you,
brief.
thank you,
It's
thank
just
you,
briefly about this Cosmos Agency.
thank you, thank
I hope we in the future can collaborate with you with some
Definitely,
research.
definitely, definitely. You know, you are here with us since beginning, and you can see that there have been, I think, more than people from more than 60 countries up till now. So we are making SDG Academy. Pakistan is making a consortium of all international partners under SDG 18. You know about that. So now we have
Yes,
only
of course.
few minutes left. So now we will have a
And the
uh, yeah,
last
yeah,
thing I want
yeah.
to do,
Please.
last thing, we are inviting Uzbekistan for
Okay.
seminar. We
Okay.
are inviting you Uzbekistan. It would be great if we have talk with Mr. Omer Farouk and you, His Excellency Ammar Jaffri,
Okay.
regarding this event. We are
Thank you.
inviting. We are trying to organize some scientific workshop or scientific seminar or scientific forum in Uzbekistan related to aerospace.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
I think Mr. Umar Farooq, you can coordinate it, and I would love to
sir.
come to you. And I'm a great fan of your country because when I was heading the cyber department of Government of Pakistan, I used to work with your cyber police. So I'm very comfortable,
Oh.
and I would love to come there. So by the way, on which dates this conference is right now? On which date?
Dates actually it's nowadays it's in
Okay,
process
no,
of
no issue. No,
organizing.
we will make it. Thank you very much.
It's yes, it depends on you. It depends on your availability
Definitely,
and
we'll
all the
talk about it.
members.
Thank you, thank you. So,
Thank you, sir.
Doctor,
Thank you.
okay. Now it's a panel discussion now. So the topic is need for space governance, rules, regulations with a specific focus on space security. So my humble question to all the panelists are Dr. Atif, Dr. Amir, and Farooq Saab, or anybody can join us. This is not a specific thing. So my very humble question is that space is the new challenge and new opportunity, right? Without any understanding, we will definitely face challenges, and we will not be able to get the benefit of the opportunities like what happened in climate change with us. We were among the bottom 10 countries who are responsible for the damage to the climate, and now we are the recipient of top and in the top 10 countries who are facing the climate change. So my humble question to all of you is that what collective efforts we should all make, because Space doesn't belong to any country. There's no demarcation of any country in space. So we are taking from 0 point. So what should we do immediately? From this forum, we are meeting on every Sunday. So I will request Dr. Amir, kindly, if you can start, then other panelists can join you. Thank you much. I said you have to unmute yourself. You'll have to unmute yourself. Dr. Saab, you'll have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
My name is Professor Dr. Syed Amir Mahmood, and I'm working at the Institute of Space Science since 1997. And I did my graduation from USA, and then I did my PhD from Germany in the field of space technology and its applications in natural hazards and all kind of, early warning systems and hazards. So uh, it's a very important and pertinent question asked by Mr. Ammar Jaffri. And I would suggest that currently we are installing, telemetric stations, various automatic weather stations, various early warning GNSS global navigation satellite system across Pakistan with the help of, Ministry of Science and Technology, China, and Higher Education Commission, and then Ministry of Higher Education and Professional Training, and NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, along with the PDMA, Provincial Disaster Management Authority. So we're working very closely this adverse impact of climate change and especially the outcomes regarding flash flooding, reservoir operation from Indian dams into Pakistan, and then torrential rains in Pakistan, like shifting rain patterns in Pakistan, and climate change impacts that have been caused, 6,000 life in the last 20,000, 2025 floods in Ravi River and Chenab, and then, Satluj River Basin. So I think when we increase the number of stations, we will have all kind of data in terms of heat waves, in terms of temperature, precipitation patterns, so we can make the nation and all related institutions well aware of making a timely decision. Climate change is a difficult science. As you know, meteorology is defined as an imperfect science because always we are sure that it's going to rain, but when we say it is expected, we never say with assurance because it's the definition of this climate and meteorological sciences. And the era has come. We have Europe, America, and even some Asian countries in China, Japan, and Korea. They have launched multiple satellites. Even Pakistan have launched satellites, but they are not weather-related satellites. They are satellite communication. They are remote sensing satellites, electro-optical radar satellites. But in the near future, Pakistan is planning to launch a dedicated meteorological and satellite system, which will provide data day in and day out, non-stop, 24/7. That will help a lot to all the relevant institutions to make quick decisions for the policymakers and decision makers. And climate change, is not a regional phenomena; it's a global phenomena. So we cannot do anything at own individually, but we have to make, like Mr. Ammar Jaffri is making, a regional plus international collaboration with all the relevant, institutions because it's a global phenomena and we have to think and sit down to dig deep regarding all the possible solutions. Because right now we are working on various models like CMIP 6 and CMIP 7 climate projection scenarios. And we are actually supervising a lot of PhD students on this. And we are especially working on the, Karakram. Karakram as a third pole cryosphere after north and south, we have the more ice and glaciers on that, which are rapidly melting and causing, glacier avalanches, glacial melting, and glacial lake outburst flooding, which is a common phenomenon in northern Pakistan these days. So very carefully, in a very integrated way, we have to work and sort out what is going on and how we will model it and how this model will help us to give a very precise forecast in future.
Thank you much, Dasa, for your very great insight and long-term vision. So, Dr. Mr. Atif would like to say anything on the topic? Mr. Atif. Please unmute
No.
yourself. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Can you repeat?
Would you like to talk on the topic or the question which I made?
Okay, so please. Yeah. So I need to share my slides.
No, it's just, we will just finish it in 2 3 minutes. I'm just having a
Okay.
panel discussion, and my question
Okay.
is that what we all collectively need to do as a international community.
Um, Actually, I can't hear clearly, so it will be good if you
No
can
issues, no
repeat.
issues, no issues.
Okay.
Anybody clearly hearing me, just respond to the question because the time is over now, and we have to finish it in next 2 3 minutes.
Okay, so it will be good if you can even write the question and in the
My,
chat.
my, my, my question is very simple. Can you
Uh-huh.
say something about need for space governance? What to do?
Lead for space governance in the sense that uh, I'm able to understand that the question is from the
Okay,
perspective of
okay, just forget, just forget about it. Salman, can you hear me, Salman? Yes,
Yes,
Salman,
I
please.
can.
Yeah, please,
So,
please,
so
please.
about the challenges you mentioned, I mostly see two things as the major challenge today. So the first is if you talk about space sustainability in total, it's about improving tracking accuracy and decision support tools. And second challenge is the secure and trusted data sharing. The reason why I say tracking is because most people don't understand that collision avoidance is fundamentally an uncertainty management problem. We are never 100% sure of the satellite's position, so all we are doing is propagating and finding out the probability. I would just take a moment to bring the 2009 collision between Iridium and Cosmos into play, because that collision did occur, but it had not the highest probability among the conjunction events of that time. So even though if the probability is low, the collision might still occur. So we need better tracking, we need robust tracking, and most importantly, the satellite's information, the perfect information is usually available to its operator. And while many operators do share their telemetry, but most do not because of the security concerns. So we need to uh, come up with a framework, with a trusted way to share that high quality data without compromising the security. So I think these two are the things that we need to work on and propagate for in the next few years to come.
Thank you, Salman. Thanks a lot. Now there are 3 minutes left. I would like to give 1 minute to the ladies in the conference. I see a great gender balance in space. I don't know why. In this conference, I've been watching for the last 2 hours. The ladies are very important. Ghazala Jalil, can you comment on it? What's the reason for this? Or Amna Munawar, you can respond this. Any lady can respond.
Sorry, what was your question?
My question is that I see a great gender balance in space. I'm watching ladies for the last 2 hours. There have been a great
Yes.
international ladies and local ladies. So
Yes.
are you satisfied with the gender balance in SDG
The
18?
gender balance is great, and this forum has been very, very informative. Not only have we gotten diverse perspectives from across the globe, but the gender balance is great. We've talked about civilian uses and orbital congestion. I personally have learned a lot, and space has become one of my passions in the last, I suppose, 5 6 years. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy with the gender balance. Although it's a very technical field, technical domain, but I think women are, working side by side with men, and
Great, great,
yeah.
great. So
I'm really happy with it.
before I finish, since Mr. Dr. Amir is here, डॉक्टर साहब आपको एक बात बताता हूँ, इसलिए गोरे का मैं उर्दू बता देता हूँ। जब मैं पढ़ता था पंजाब यूनिवर्सिटी में, तो वही हॉस्टल नंबर 2 जो मैं आपको बता रहा था, डॉक्टर साहब उसके अंदर जब ये अप्रैल 69 के अंदर इंसान चांद पे उतरा, तो हम हॉस्टल में आ करते थे। तो बीबीसी रेडियो से हॉस्टल नंबर 2 में बैठा हुआ मैं 6 घंटे तकरीबन रात को सुनता रहा। तो सारे हॉस्टल के 300-400 लड़के मजाक उड़ाते हैं, मजाक उड़ाते हुए कि शायद ये की लाभ तो किएगा। मैं कहा यार मैं सुनना चाहता हूँ कि जब इसका पैर पड़े नील आर्मस्ट्रॉन्ग का जमीन पे, तो ये क्या कहता है, क्या फील करता है। खैर बहरहाल वहाँ को पता ही है हॉस्टल के क्या हालात होते हैं। तो जब मैं सुबह उठा तो कहते शायद तुझे देख लिया है। मैं कहा हाँ भाई। उसने जो डॉक्टर साहब पहला फिक्रा कहा वो मेरे आज तक कानों में गूंजता है, यकीन करें आप ना। उसके बाद एक स्टार ट्रैक प्रोग्राम था, मैं वो बड़े शौक से देखता था, अपने वालिद से बुरा सुन के देखता था। तो ये जो स्पेस से मोहब्बत है ना, ये बहुत पुरानी है, जिस तरह अभी गज़ाला आपने कहा। और स्पेस से मोहब्बत अगर हम करेंगे तो तभी हम इल्म हासिल कर सकते हैं। चलिए फ़ायदा का क्वेश्चन लेते हैं, फिर तो ख़त्म करते हैं। जी फ़ायदा काइंडली आप बात कर लें, फ़ायदा।
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर, आई एम इन्वायरमेंटलिस्ट और मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज में बहुत ऐसा काम किया मैंने। और ये स्पेस से रिलेटेड मेरा इंटरेस्ट भी बहुत पुराना है। यूनिवर्सिटी में भी हमने पूरा साल स्पार्को से हमारे सर आते थे सारे काम, और जीआईएस एंड सैटेलाइट रिमोट सेंसिंग का हमने पूरा साल कोर्स पढ़ा था, 3-3 घंटे की क्लास होती थी। और आई वाज वेरी मच इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट सब्जेक्ट, लेकिन ये कि अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं उसमें थीसिस नहीं कर पाई। वेस्ट वाटर मैनेजमेंट में मैंने फिर थीसिस किया था।
चलें
तो
इंशाल्लाह अब
मैंने
आपको
इंटरनल
पूरा
रिसर्च
पूरा
में
मौका
जी
देंगे।
जी
जी जी जी
जी
बोलें।
थैंक यू सर। आपका फोरम बहुत ही आला है और बहुत ही हाई लेवल का इस पे वो आपने अपॉर्चुनिटी दी है हम यंगस्टर्स को भी आने की और करने की। तो मैंने बहुत पहले रिसर्च में पढ़ा था, ये जो आपने अभी क्वेश्चन रेज किया था, तो उसमें ये था कि वुमेन की साइंटिफिकली जो बॉडी है वो स्पेस के लिए ज्यादा सूटेबल है। इनके स्पेस में जाके जो स्मार्ट वर्किंग कर सकती है वो खवातीन की जो फिजिकल अल्लाह ताला ने बनाई है उसकी, वो ज्यादा उसमें जो है ना एक्टिवली काम कर सकती है। तो
बहुत
यहाँ
शुक्रिया,
पे तो एक
बहुत
अल्लाह
शुक्रिया।
ताला जी
We will stay
जी जी
connected. Basti, I'm
जी
really grateful to you, and for you have been here for such a long time. It's not difficult. It's not easy to stay back, and I'm really thankful to Dr. Amir, your team in university, and especially I'd like to mention Mr. Musharraf, who has done a wonderful job always, and definitely all these people who are joining hands together for a space mission. I'm sure some of them are employees, some of them are businessmen or women, some of them are volunteers. But you know, SDG 18 is going to be recognized by the UN in September this year, and after that there'll be great need for all these knowledge. So if we focus on every Sunday 9 p.m., you know, human beings come and go. I may come, I may go, no issues at all. But the system should work. I'm really so grateful to all. And very shortly, Amna Munawar is thinking to organize a physical meeting in her office in Islamabad. It's just next to Marriott. So Amna Munawar, please definitely we'll talk about it tomorrow when we meet. So we will have a. Amna, would you like to say anything on the
जी
conference you're thinking about? Amna Munawar?
जी Ammar Jaffri Saab, thank you very much. I would like to host all of you, or anybody can join us in this hybrid roundtable conference. We are going to talk about the overall national security framework and how we can plan the global cooperation in cyber and space security. So I would like to invite all of you. And secondly, with SDG Academy, and we are developing a special one-day workshop which we are planning, which will be a virtual workshop, and STG Academy trainers and Empower Her Academy trainers there, and a few of the volunteers we would like to join us, and we will train our women to join this space science as one of their career. Thank you.
थैंक यू अमित। ज़िया खान साहब फ्रॉम यूएसए, मैं आपसे बाद में बात करूंगा। ज़िया साहब बड़े पुराने दोस्त हैं, आज बड़े सबल काबू आए हैं, उनकी तबीयत ठीक नहीं थी। ये 2 घंटे से मुस्तकिल बैठे हैं, मैं इनको देख रहा हूँ। लेकिन अगर इन्होंने बात शुरू कर दी तो 2 घंटे और चाहिए। ज़िया साहब मैं इंशाल्लाह इसको ख़त्म करके आपसे बात करूंगा। थैंक यू अमित, थैंक यू ऑल फॉर योर टाइम, फॉर योर पेशेंस, and very importantly, staying with us. Let's join her together for a secure cyberspace and space also. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Amit. Dr. Saab, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.